Land Rover and Stellantis are teaming up, and everyone is saying that this is going to be the most unreliable collaboration ever, but this is actually not a 50 IQ play, it's a 500 IQ play. The Doug Smith Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in American Forks providing us with both of these vehicles. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. Let's get into all of it. We're actually going to start things off with the key fobs. This is the key fob on the Land Rover Defender, and this is the key fob on the Jeep Grand Cherokee. You'll notice that, yeah, they're basically the same. Jeep has been copying Land Rover's homework for quite some time. Now, before we get into more similarities between these vehicles, let's quickly talk about what this collaboration is going to look like. The initial details basically state that Land Rover is going to have the newer Defenders built in the US instead of being built in Slovakia. And Land Rover will team up with Jeep to make this possible. Now, the reason why they're doing this is pretty obvious, right? To get around the tariffs, because right now every single Defender that comes into the US is massively tariffed. And because the Defender isn't nearly as expensive as like a Range Rover Sport or as a Range Rover full size especially, it just doesn't have the profit margins of those vehicles to absorb the tariffs. And it really is that simple, right? Money does truly talk, and I would say that Land Rover probably would have never considered this unless tariffs were a thing, and they are a thing, so now they're considering this. And now let's get into more of the similarities. Because on the surface, Stellantis might seem like a really weird partner for Land Rover, but a lot of people have overlooked a lot of things that I see because I'm reviewing these cars every single day. So here's the deal. Both the Defender and the Grand Cherokee are unibody construction, and guess what? Independent suspension all around on both of them. Both of them have the option for height adjustable air suspension. Now, the air suspension systems are a little bit different. With the Jeep, it's kind of like a traditional raising and lowering system. Whereas with the Land Rover, they have this kind of multi-compression setup where when the Defender is at the top of the bags, you still have some level of travel, so it's not as stiff as what you'll see with the Jeep's air suspension. But either way, Jeep already knows how to build an air suspension system, and so building Defenders is not going to be all that difficult. And I'm sure with this deal, right, Land Rover is going to be sharing some of their tech with Jeep, and so we're probably going to see Jeeps with Land Rover air suspension in the future, which I think is a good thing, because Land Rover air suspension is not only reliable if you keep it stock, again, it's more comfortable both on-road and off-road than what Jeep is currently offering. Now, the next part that makes this deal make all the sense in the world is powertrain sharing. So currently Land Rover has a turbo 2-liter 4-cylinder, a turbo 3-liter inline-6, a supercharged 5-liter V8, and a twin turbocharged 4.4-liter V8, all as engine options with the Defender. Now, Jeep happens to have this fancy new turbo 2-liter 4-cylinder. The Hurricane 3-liter twin turbo is probably going to make its way into the Grand Cherokee later. And then within the Stellantis umbrella, we have the 5.7 Hemi, we also have the 6.4 Hemi, supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi. So if we look at things from an engine perspective, Land Rover can use the 2-liter as an upgrade over their current 2-liter because that thing produces a lot more power and a lot more torque compared to the 2-liter that's under the hood of the Defender right now. And I absolutely love this 3-liter inline-6 that the Defender currently has. It's got a mild hybrid system, so it's really torquey on the low end. But the Hurricane twin-turbo inline-6 does have more horsepower and more torque compared to this engine, so that also would be an upgrade for customers. So right out of the gate, Land Rover would be able to, if they switch the engines over, able to offer customers more premium engines with these US-built vehicles, so it would, again, it would feel like an upgrade. And the next thing, those supercharged 5-liter V8s, those are going to be phased out pretty soon. Having the V8s from the Dodge brand, right, available to them, the supercharged V8 and the 6.4 Hemi and the 5.7 Hemi, I don't know exactly which ones we use. My guess, probably the 6.4, maybe the supercharged 6.2 for the top of the line. And again, they are still going to work with BMW with that 4.4 V8 for quite some time. But either way, that gives them engine options that could work with the Defender. And even if they keep this body style the same, I mean, you can see, like, there's not an insane amount of space under the hood here, but there is enough space to add a crazier powertrain. And if they're collaborating with the folks from Stellantis, then I'm sure they'll learn how to shoehorn an insane V8 under the hood of any car, because, I mean, like, they've done that with everything. I mean, there's even people that have put the supercharged V8 under the hood of the Pacifica. So, like, you can do it. I forgot to ask you guys to subscribe earlier, so make sure you do that because it really does help out a lot here on YouTube. Now the next thing I want to talk about is actually the Jeep interior. So Jeep does a really good job. I picked out the Summit for a reason. With their interiors, really insulated cabins, just nice materials throughout. And again, if you look at the tech that this has, and I'll show you guys the Defender interior in just a moment, this is very similar to kind of what Land Rover is going for. And here's like the little control for the air suspension. I mean, this is literally the same exact kind of dial appearance. I mean, Land Rover had like the pop-up dial. This is just a fixed thing. It doesn't like pop up out of the center here. But anyways, Land Rover used to do a dial. Now Jeep does a dial. Again, they did a lot of homework copying. And so like Jeep obviously knows how to build very premium vehicles when it comes to the interiors and features and all of that. And so building a Land Rover, not going to be an issue. I mean, if we actually look at this Defender interior after being in that Jeep, this is more utilitarian looking. I mean, look at the steering wheel. And this trim is really nice. But I mean, look at like the exposed rivets and everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to keep the same UI. That's one thing that I actually will say, that like, even though there's a lot of similarities, I do prefer Land Rover's UI system that they have. I just like the overall appearance of this. It's not a perfect system. I mean, you can see it's like taking a second. I've got calloused fingers, and so sometimes like screens don't pick them up, but especially Land Rover screens. And again, like this whole setup, I don't know, I think this kind of looks a little bit more, it's dirty right now, but it looks a little bit more special, like the multifunction controls. And again, I'm sure there's going to be, you know, sharing of stuff back and forth, but I mean, again, you look at, like, this is another thing. Both these have low range, right? One of the few unibody vehicles that have a 2-speed transfer case, and both of them have very fancy traction control systems. And that's another point of collaboration. It's like they can go and, you know, give each other info. I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing with our system. This is what we're doing with our system. And I bet that after all of it, both traction control systems will be better at the end of the day. And something to note on this point of similarity and everything is the fact that automakers use the same, well, not all automakers, but most automakers use the same third-party sources for different parts. And so pretty much every single new car has a lot of similar parts as is. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I sum things up is off-road kit. So this Defender is the Trek Edition. You guys can see it's got step sliders. You've got the cargo box on the side. We have a roof rack, a raised air intake. This is stuff that you do not see on Jeeps, really, outside of Wranglers that are body and frame. You can see the fuel storage on the side. And so again, Land Rover will probably be able to teach Jeep how to work all this stuff into a unibody vehicle. And this would make the Grand Cherokee so much better, because the Grand Cherokee is way too on-road oriented at this point. It's got all the luxury, but it doesn't have enough off-road kit. Whereas, I mean, another thing, like this has a winch. Like there's so much off-road kit put into these Defenders. And actually there's one more thing that I almost forgot to mention that now we got to talk about. And that's build quality. If you actually look at the build quality of Defenders, it is far from perfect. There are, like, you know, panel gaps. I mean, the fender flare literally has quite a bit of give. And then you look at Jeep, like they're actually pretty similar when it comes to from a build quality perspective. Like neither of them are perfect like most modern cars. And so I think that Stellantis building Defenders is not going to be an issue when it comes to the reliability of the Defender and then the build quality of the Defender. I think that that's probably going to remain pretty much the same. So in conclusion, this pairing up of these two companies is going to be a net positive, I think, for all of us that are enthusiasts of these kind of like off-road type SUVs that are also very luxury on-road. I think this collaboration will give Jeep info that they need to really improve the Grand Cherokee in, you know, a few key areas. And then I think that it'll give Land Rover access to some really cool powertrains. And you pair that with the fact that Stellantis is, you know, being pretty heavy-handed with the V8s and all of that, I think that we might be seeing peak Jeep and peak Land Rover in the next few years, where they're just releasing a lot of really cool product. I mean, here's something to think about. This Defender has one raised air intake. If it has a twin-turbo inline 6, that means it'll be able to have 2 raised air intakes, and maybe we'll see Jeeps with dual raised air intakes. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on this collaboration. Let me know if you think if it's a good idea or if it's a bad idea. And I'm actually more interested to hear from the Land Rover people than the Jeep people. If you're a Land Rover person, are you willing to buy an American-made Defender? Again, right now they're built in Slovakia, so they're not even like truly British. But yeah, let me know if you would actually be willing to buy an American-made Defender, or if you feel like that's a betrayal because it's not built in Europe anymore. That's all.